The Greek myths are quite bewildering in their complexity, and particularly when you move beyond the 12 Olympian gods who most people know best. But to be able to understand them, there are three simple keys that help you on the journey. Now, the first key is to understand their names, and we'll look at that in a moment. If I could just remind you to hit the subscribe button, because we'll be posting a number of videos on this topic if it's of interest to you. And also, if you follow the link, you will be able to download a free pamphlet on how to interpret fairy tales. And there are, in the way that you set about interpreting fairy tales, there's some overlap with myths as well, so it may prove useful for that too. But the first key is to understand the names of the gods or the heroes. And generally, certainly for the main gods, the names usually do have a meaning. And whereas 20 years ago it was quite difficult to find out what those might mean, and you had to turn to a fairly obscure reference at the back of Robert Graves's book to get an easy to access key to those names. But now if you go online, very often in Wikipedia there's a fairly good breakdown of what the name means in Greek, and that certainly is the place to start. To see what the derivation of the name is, what its root is, will give you an idea about the principle that god represents. So, for example, if we take the name Apollo or Apollon, often that name is associated with the second name Phoebus, and Phoebus means the shining one or the bright shining one, which is why Apollo is often associated with the sun, but his name suggests more than that as well. And if we look at the name of his sister, which is Artemis, then we find that name is associated with the wolf and also with the bear, and it ties in with her love of the hunt, the fact that she is often to be found in forest regions. And it's said of her that she chases the souls that are caught up in the wood of manifestation, the forest of manifestation. So the first key then is to look at the names of the gods. The second key is to look at their genealogy. So who are their parents? Many of the gods, of course, descend from Saturn, who you probably know devoured his own children until he was tricked by his wife Rhea, and Zeus was kept safe in a cave and until he grew strong enough to defend himself. And that story is meaningful too, and has its own purpose. But many of the children are brothers or sisters of Zeus or his own children, and finding out where they are and who they're descended from is really very helpful. So, for example, Apollo and Artemis, or Diana as she's known in the Roman world, were the daughters of Zeus and Leto, who's a minor goddess. But she upsets Hera, the wife of Zeus, who doesn't like his wandering ways, and she is told that she cannot bring her children to birth anywhere on land. So she finds a floating island called Delos where they are born. Or in Crete, where I'm talking to you, there's an island off the coast of Crete, which is another of the places where Artemis and Apollo are meant to have been born. And finally, we need to look at what the gods are famous for. So what they carry, what's associated with them. So Apollo, for example, with his lyre, which is a gift from his younger brother Hermes. Apollo with his lyre is associated with music, he's associated with poetry and song. He's associated with healing, and of course he's associated with oracles. He was the patron god of Delphi and protector of the priests and priestesses there, who produced prophecies in his name.